I'm Justin Boyd.
Tristan Jones.
And I'm ready for a three-peat.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement. Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. Welcome to Watchers Football Weekly, a podcast within a podcast, and a podcast that's all about the pigskin. Today, we're here to discuss the conference championship round of the NFL playoffs, better known as the AFC and NFC title games. So let's get right to it. Frank. So your Chiefs going back to the Super Bowl for the third straight year. Fourth time in 5 years, I guess. So, or more, 5 times in 6
5 times in 6 years.
Yeah. So they made it through the season, made it back to the Super Bowl. No team's ever three-peated, but no team has ever made it this far. So how you feeling?
I feel great, man. And you know what's funny? Watching the game, I'm like, we should have scored 40. Like, I'm so upset that we didn't hit the 40th century mark. Like, we played pretty good football. Pat averaged 9 yards of passing attempts. And watching the game, it looked like Buffalo didn't have a plan of attack. They didn't know what to take away. And Pat did whatever he wanted to do. Andy did whatever he wanted to do. They call plays with confidence. It's like they call plays knowing that it was going to work before they even called the play. Like, it was like typically when you play against a defense or a defense coordinator, they have an idea of like what they want to take away from you and what you have to adjust to. And everything was on the board for KC. There was nothing taken off the board. Like they want to go downfield, they went downfield. They wanted to export the middle of the field, they export the middle of the field. They wanted to take the edges with the RPO, they took the edges with the RPO. Whatever they wanted to do was on the table. And I feel bad for Josh Allen, man. I feel like if Josh Allen was born 5 years later, he'll probably hit the last run of this dominance that the Chiefs are going through. But I was really, really pleased with the showing. Defense gave up some big plays, but again, it's Josh Allen. I expect to give us some plays here and there, but if it's a one-score game, there's nobody on the planet I'd rather have in my coaching stable than Andy and Spags. So,
yeah, I should say Chiefs won the game 32-29. Another close game as we expected. You know, Tristan, last week we talked about this game, and it kind of honestly it played out kind of the way we talked about. It wasn't really a stats game. I mean, obviously, it was a game that was more higher scoring than I expected. I think it was kind of like right in line of what you were talking about. How'd you see it play out? What'd you think about? What are your takeaways from another AFC title for the Chiefs?
My biggest takeaway from this game actually is a little bit more big picture. I think this whole this Chiefs season, or really the last 2 Chiefs seasons, has kind of made me rethink what does a great game from a quarterback look like, and like what are the different variations of great games? Mm-hmm. Because I mean, you can look at the numbers with a blind eye and say, okay, 18-25, 245 yards, a couple rushing touchdowns. Like, it doesn't look like a spectacular game, but like as you're watching the game, you can see like pretty much on every drive the Chiefs scored. 1, 2, it looked like Patrick Mahomes was controlling, with Andy Reid as kind of like the puppet master, like just moving pieces around the board however they saw fit. Like, that was a really dominant game from Patrick Mahomes, even though they didn't show up on the stat sheet. So like, I've been really thinking, like, we may need to kind of change the parameters for what we think is a great game for a quarterback in a big moment, especially against another really good team or a great team, because the possessions are not infinite, so like there's more of an impetus on taking, control or taking care of the ball, maximizing possessions, things like that. The way the Chiefs won in 2018, I don't think is as feasible in today's NFL. You saw Baltimore light the scoreboard up against so many teams, but once they kind of messed off a few possessions here and there, like it kind of threw a whole balance of their game plan off. So as I'm watching this Chiefs game, man, the biggest takeaway I got from it is like, this is what like actual dominance looks like today, with defenses playing more too high, just more sophisticated defenses as a whole. The way the teams have been defending the Chiefs since 2020, 2021, they've had to reinvent the way that they dominate games. It's not going to look like, putting up 45 points.
Yeah.
That's just not going to happen. Like, they recognize if we maximize every possession, if we don't put our defense in horrible field position, in bad positions, if, special teams comes through, if we make sure we just stay ahead of the sticks and get in our 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4s, and 3rd and 2s, like, we have a better chance of just maximizing possessions. And they just did that better than Buffalo. I don't even know if it's a sense of Buffalo did anything wrong. Like, there's some weaknesses that Buffalo had that Andy Reid and Mahomes exploited. But I can't look at that game and say, man, Buffalo choked that away. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
Buffalo played, I think, to the best of their capability against another great team. That other great team just happened to be greater, right?
Yeah.
I think Josh Allen choked away the game. I thought he made the plays that he could, and he didn't make the plays that he couldn't. It just happened that those plays that he couldn't ended up being the margin of victory, which goes with what Coop said. Ultimately, this game came down to, and all these games between Mahomes and Josh Allen come down to, these are the 2 best quarterbacks in football. But there's still a gap between 1 and 2, and it's not because of ability. I don't think there's anything Mahomes can do on the field that Josh Allen cannot do. I don't think there's a single throw on the field that Mahomes can make that Josh Allen can't make. The difference is between Steph Curry and Damian Lillard. On the surface, it may look like we're doing the same things, but the things that I'm doing so consistently in the biggest moments, consistently, that creates the gap. So I don't feel bad for Josh Allen. So, as a roundabout way, I don't feel bad. I didn't feel bad for Lamar Jackson last week. I don't feel bad for any of these dudes, because ultimately it comes down to, can you make the play or can you not?
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason, and I guess we'll get further into it, but down 3, 2 minutes left, 3 timeouts. You are second team All-Pro quarterback, widely recognized as a top 3 quarterback in the league, on the planet, and a fellow alien quarterback. Like, there's nothing physically Josh Allen can't do. He's mastered the Bills' offense so much. Like, everything's in place, right, for them to make their play. And, like, they just simply didn't make the play. Like, we can look to kill them for it, or we just kind of accept, hey, you didn't make the play, and that's really just been the difference between him and number 15.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about last week about how the Ravens and Bills game felt like this massive game, but then the following week was going to be an even bigger game. And of course it was, and it felt like it was a level up, but it was also a level up in the fact that it was a really clean game, a super tight game. You didn't have, the Chiefs had 1 turnover. Yeah. The Bills had did they have turnover and downs twice maybe, but they never turned the ball.
They had a turnover and downs twice, the 45 and then the 4th and inches.
Right. Which now I do want to talk about that situation. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah.
Go ahead. 4 fumbles. They all recovered. They recovered all 4 of their fumbles, but they had 4 fumbles in that game.
And at least 2 interception-worthy throws.
Yeah.
Early in the game. No, definitely. Yeah. Josh Allen, he did not start the game off well. It looked like he was maybe nervous or whatever, but he tried to give the Chiefs the ball a couple of times. But no, really what I was kind of saying, it's like this really came down to some situations. We always hear about situational football, complementary football, that kind of stuff. And there was a situation, and Frank, you alluded to it, midfield, 13-minute mark, fourth quarter. The Bills go for it on 4th and inches or 4. Who knows what it was because they didn't measure it. So it's like, but and they don't get it, but like it looked like they got it. To me, that was like a huge situation because at that point, scores 22-21 Buffalo. If Buffalo gets that first down, if they continue the drive, score a touchdown, certainly they're probably going to go for 2 to try to make it a 9-point game. And then it's a 2-possession game. Then it's a completely different game. Even if they go down and kick a field goal, they make it 25-21. You force Kansas City to go for a touchdown, which of course Kansas City got a touchdown anyway, but they got a touchdown because they got the benefit of the shorter field by getting the stop at midfield. And I think my problem with that play was, I mean, there's so many problems, but first off, the third down play before that fourth down, it was a 3rd and 3 play. If you go back and watch this, Allen throws a little screen pass to Dalton Kincaid. He gets the first down. Like, you watch it, he falls like he's on the line. They mark him a yard short, or I don't know, maybe less than a yard short. Then they run the play. They run the, up the middle, which not the most creative play, but that's what they do all the time. I mean, to me, it's like, how can you say he didn't get that first down? To me, that was just like, are we to the point where human beings can no longer like officiate these games? Like, we're gonna have to use AI or some kind of like chip is in the ball, like it's in tennis or something, because it seemed like he got the first down there. I mean, I don't see how you can say he didn't get the first down. Go for it, Frank. You respond. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 4th and inches play, when the ball snapped, he's being pushed, and then he gets turned around, and then he gets moved horizontally parallel to the 30. I think it was a 30-yard line. And
I think it was a 50, wasn't it? Like midfield?
It was a 50.
Yeah, I think
so. He's backwards. So the ball doesn't. You can't really. It's not definitive when the ball crossed the white, the 50 yet, and then they blow it dead. Now what they should have done, they should have put the ball down and measured it. Once replay assist came in, they should have measured it. That's when they should have done. But it wasn't clear to me. Like it was like once he got turned around, the ball's no longer in lead. His back is. So you don't know where the ball's at.
Ball was in his right hand.
Yeah, and so like you don't know where the ball's at as opposed to where the first down marker is. So, so at that point, you don't know where you should spot the ball. Now they should have just figured out a spot and just measured it just to like turn down any type of like doubt. That I think that's one mistake the officiating crew should have done was like measure the ball, it.
Because it was all based on a guess and the thing is, if you're watching you're watching the game, the official at the top of the screen who has the worst view of the play, he's the one who says it's short. The guy who's at the bottom of the screen who has the best view, the view they show that shows like looks like, I mean, if he didn't get it, goddamn, he was super close. Like he said first down, the guy above said no, not first down. They don't measure it, so it's based on a guess. I just don't understand how like you're in the AFC title game and you're guessing and you're not like measuring to see like where is the ball? Like the fact that they got the first down on the third down play, which no one is mentioning, but if you watch that play, he gets the first down, like he's right there. I just thought that was a huge play that would kind of like, I mean, people are talking about it a little bit today, but kind of got swept under the rug. I mean, I'm not saying like if they get that first down, Buffalo for sure wins the game, but that's a huge situation in the game because Kansas City scores, I think 2 plays later. And now it's, they get 2-point version. Now it's 29-22. It changes the game completely. Tristan, your thoughts on that play or just what you saw from that?
The third down play I need to see again. I don't remember thinking it was that close. I think it was close to a first down, obviously. I don't remember thinking it was clearly a first down. So I need to rewatch that but the 4th and inches one, in real time, I didn't think he made it. There was maybe like one replay that I thought he did make it. But then I saw pretty much a split from the 50 and where the ball was. And like I said, I just couldn't see anything definitive, conclusive. But it looked like it was in his right. He got pulled away and the ball was in his right arm and it never like definitively crossed at least. But I get it. Like those, I think to your larger point about is this still a human thing, right? Which in a sense kind of scares me because I have so many thoughts about like artificial intelligence. But like, I don't think there's a good answer. It's kind of like my college football thing. Like, I don't think there's a good way to judge these things because either we put it in humans' hands, and we kind of add on to it like replay assists. Like maybe you could have replay assists. Because you could have an eye in the sky, from New York or wherever, who could kind of make a quick call. Right. But we also don't want to like slow down the rhythm of the game even more than it already is. With challenge flags and commercial breaks and guys getting injured and like there's so many things that like disrupt the flow of the game. Which hot take, may not be a bad thing. We can talk about.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a good way of doing it. Like we just kind of have to live with the 2% human error. We're always going to criticize the egregious thing. That's my thing. When something's egregious, that's when I feel like the uproar is more justified. But I like 50-50 plays where, it could have been like we just kind of have to accept. That's kind of the deal that we make with watching sports, is that we're going to have to deal with a little bit of human error on so many different avenues that there's just no way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
No right way to do it, at least.
Yeah. I mean, are either one of y'all, have y'all seen how minor league baseball does like challenge, like you know what? I've seen it in person. I've seen it happen. And you think, oh, it's going to slow down baseball. It happens so fast. It's so quick the way they show. It's almost like the tennis thing where it shows where the ball's in or out. It shows the strike zone. Now, granted, it's different sport, different situation, but I do think that this could be perfected. I guess my main thing is because like there was another play in the game, and again, this play did not, I don't think, change the impacted the final score, but the Xavier Worthy catch in the second quarter, right at about I don't know, he was inside the 10, I believe.
Yeah,
that play, which I'm not sure it was a catch, honestly, given what constitutes a catch in football, right? Like, did he really have control? The ball hits the ground. He's kind of got his hand on the ball, but then the defender really kind of, had the ball also. They go to the ground. I know a tie goes to the receiver. I get that, but like the ball hits the ground. Does Worthy even have possession? All that kind of stuff, right? The thing is, the same official, he came in with such conviction to say, "Oh, it's a catch. It's a catch," right? Like he calls it a catch, and like until Buffalo challenged it, like they were just going to move on. And I mean, they challenged it, and obviously it was upheld that it was a catch. But like to me, it's like, how do you have such conviction on a crazy maybe catch, right, in that scenario? But then spotting the ball, you can't figure that out like that. I just don't like. To me, it's like it can't be both, right? Like we've watched football for long enough where it's like, I don't know what a catch is anymore. Like you see a guy catch the ball, take 3 steps, fall out of bounds, lose the ball up. He didn't control it through the catch or didn't control it through the ground. But if it hits the ground, you got your hand on the ball. It's I just thought it was ridiculous how convicted the guy was, like, oh yeah, this is a catch for sure. But he couldn't spot the ball correctly on 2 consecutive downs in the AFC Championship game. Like I don't get it, man. Like I don't like we should have better people. We should have better people. We have the best players in the world playing these sports. We should have the best officials calling these games. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe we do.
Football's hard.
It's like
bro. Like I referee. That shit's hard, bro. Like it's one of those things where like it's such a they tell you in officiating training, if you're wrong, be strong. Like don't hesitate. Like especially if you have the best field of view,
right? You
make the call, and then if replay is 6 steps in, if they challenge it, then you live with the results. But
yeah,
bro, these are grown men running 300-pound guys, 4'2", 40 guys. Like it's just difficult, man. Now I will say this: I didn't understand the challenge for Buffalo only from the standpoint that they had a legal contact already on Kelsey.
Right, but they got way more yards with the catch though. Right? Like
I get it, but like you let's say it's not a catch, then Casey probably just runs the clock down.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. And
like I'm saying, I don't think that play impacted the final score really, maybe at all. I mean, maybe the Chiefs get a field goal instead of a touchdown. Obviously, that would have impacted the final score a little bit.
It's a second quarter play, and it's like you need that challenge. Just like for me, it's like if I'm in the AFC Championship game, I'm a coach. I'm not making that call. I'm not challenging that in the second quarter of a game when there's a whole half of football left, especially when a penalty was already called on my defense. Like I'm not that's not the time to challenge. Because now you lost that challenge. Now you're fucked. Like if there's another questionable call down the stretch, you can't make a challenge.
Right. And I mean the penalty was absolutely a penalty because I mean Hamlin was all over Kelsey for like 10 yards. So not disputing that. I'm just, to me, it's like the same official making such like crazy variances of calls. Like that's the part. But obviously human error, I guess. So anyway, moving on. Anything else from this game you wanted to highlight? I wanted to ask Tristan. I'll go to you first. Did you notice how emotional it seemed Chris Jones was? I mean, he was making plays like they kept showing his face, and he had like tears running down his face. And I'm like, is he gonna is this like his last game at Arrowhead or something? Like he was like, I mean, he's a great player. I don't think they plan on him going anywhere. But I noticed that. I was just like, that is, I don't know, maybe the emotion of the moment or something. But he was definitely feeling it.
This is a Chris Jones staple, annual Chris Jones staple. I've seen people kind of unofficially throw out the stat that they are undefeated every time the camera show Chris Jones crying and like water fountains coming out of his eyes. I don't, whatever it was, man. Like you can make the argument he was the best player on the field.
Yeah.
I think out of he was left 1-on-1 11 times. He won 7 of those matchups. Like there's no defender in football, especially in postseason football at the highest stages, who disrupts offenses as consistently as Chris Jones does. Whether he gets a sack or not, like you feel his presence. Like he blows up third downs. He was instrumental in stopping them on 4th down at the goal. 4th and goal essentially. He in a game where Mahomes had by drop back EPA and all these things, like a top 5 playoff game in his career, you can still make the argument that Chris Jones was the most impactful player. So man, cry all you want, bro. Like I think so much of it is when you watch the Chiefs and you really, I mean, we obviously, Frank and I follow the Chiefs pretty intently. But you get the sense that they understand the gravity of the moment. Like this isn't normal. You know what I'm saying? We were talking about it. They got the 2022 draft class does not know what a playoff loss looks like. I mean, and they're spoiled because the 2021 class only knows what one playoff loss, feels like. And from the vet side, it's like this perfect match of vets. You got Hall of Fame vets. You have, just your regular vets. You got guys who used to be great, who are, just kind of settling into a role. DeAndre Hopkins, Kareem Hunt's, Juju Smith-Schuster's, really settling in and really embracing the role, becoming mentors. This is a really I hate to get cheesy on this sports podcast, but this is a really special thing. They've already made history as the greatest 3-year run, 5-year run, 6-year run in NFL history. Right? On a 3-year run, nobody's ever won back-to-back Super Bowls and made it this far, like you said at the beginning. Yeah. So I feel like you get the sense that they understand they're actually living in the history. For me, I love when great teams embrace greatness and not run from. I hate seeing teams we love to go back to back, but we just want to win this week. No, they said it after the first one, bro, we're going back to back. They said it on the stage after going back to back, bro. I want 3. I love that ambition. So this is some really, really great shit that they're doing. So I get that sense that they understand and they feel that, and that it's probably illustrated. It's probably part of the reason why Chris Jones balls his eyes out, every postseason game. But I love it.
Yeah, it definitely added to the ambiance of the game, because it's such a massive game. Of course, like I said, I wanted to ask you, Frank, I want to get your thoughts on this. Going into this game, did you feel pressure? I don't, obviously, if the Chiefs were to lose, if they'd lost this game next year, they'd probably be right back. Right. So it's not, but did you feel the pressure? Because we talked about last week about how watching that Ravens Bills game, you could feel the pressure of the quarterbacks, but the whole team, everyone was kind of stressed out. This game obviously is another step up for the Bills. Obviously, there's way more pressure because who knows, they may not get back. I mean, you never know. But with the Chiefs, as a fan, you're going for this historical moment. If they lose this game, they might do it in 5 years or whatever. But it's not going to happen next year. You're not going to get you're not going to get back to having a three-peat next season. So did you feel like the pressure as this game was kind of winding down?
I won't say pressure. I'm naturally just a nervous guy watching the Chiefs because again, 17 straight one-score games that we won. Like I'm just naturally just nervous just watching them because like everything seems to come down to the last possession. But as far as pressure, no, because like I feel like we have the best coaching staff, the best quarterback. I mean, we have the best D lineman. Like as far as schematics and X and O's, like I know when I watch this team play every Sunday, I know that they're prepared. I know that they're well dressed. I know that they have a plan in mind and a plan of attack. There are a lot of teams when you watch them, they don't like to have. Like for example, when I watched the Baltimore Buffalo game last week, when Baltimore went down for 7, they didn't look like they didn't know what they wanted to do. It looked like they were just kind of like scrambling and like improvising. They have whatever plan they had going into that game, it kind of fell by the wayside, and like they were frazzled and they were just trying to figure it out as it went along. With the Chiefs, man, like we've been down 10 in playoffs games, we've been down 10 in Super Bowls, and the plan never changes. Now we may have wrinkles, we may adjust, but like we still have our game plan of like how to exploit the opposition. So from a pressure standpoint, I didn't feel any pressure. I just feel like when the Chiefs are on the field and we're playing against, especially Buffalo, I just feel like Buffalo knows that if they make a mistake, they're going to press. You saw in the first possession for Buffalo, Josh Allen has 5 turnovers all year long. He damn it threw 2 on the first drive of the game. That's him pressing. That's him feeling the moment. That's him like not settling down yet. Now he played great after that, but I feel like when teams play Kansas City, the pressure's on them. Like we know who we are. We know we've been here so many times before. It's muscle memory. So no, I didn't feel pressure. I don't feel pressure against Philadelphia. I think I love the matchup, to be honest. I know we'll talk about that later on, but
yeah,
I love the matchup. I think you give Spags and Andy 2 weeks to fucking prepare. You gave Andy and Spags 2 weeks to prepare for that. He was thinking like we just don't lose games. I have the utmost confidence. Now I'm not cocky with it. I know sooner or later we will lose a game eventually, but I'm not gonna be a better man telling when we'll lose. I'm gonna go for him every single time until we lose. So
I actually felt more pressure against the Texans because it's the divisional round. Like man, all these games. All of this march toward history, like to have it in here against the Texans of all people, like that would be tragic. But like, the closer I got to the game, like everything Frank said is like at a certain. I remember having this talk last year, and I'm like, bro, before the playoffs, I'm like, man, if I can't be cocky about a team like after they won a championship, when the hell can I be cocky? Right. And this team's won 2. So if I can't be a little cocky or arrogant about their chances in like what they could do against any team in the league, if I can't be cocky after back-to-back championships and having the best quarterback, best coach, all these things, and at what point in my sports fandom can I be cocky about my team? Like there's just no point exists, you know what I'm saying? So the Chiefs have conditioned us to believe that not just they're the most prepared, not just that they have the best game plan, not they have this best player here. They've conditioned us to believe that they're going to come through, right? Somebody's going to come through. Yeah. Like it could be Ramil, right? And punt return, kick return. Like I could see it. Like before he ran that back all the way, to what the 30 or 40. I'm like, bro, like I feel like he's about to do something. Like they've conditioned us to just believe that somebody random is definitely going to come through, and the people that we expect to come through will absolutely come through. So I was oddly, like remarkably confident that against this past Sunday, and I don't even think I haven't felt like a lick of like worry about Philadelphia yet. Like we'll see as we get closer, but like Frank said, I like the matchup. Reed and Spags, not just 2 weeks, but like 2 weeks against a team they faced in the Super Bowl before. So like they have so many data points to compare. So No, very little pressure this week.
Now the counterpoint from the Bills' perspective, Bills fans, and I know two of my friends are Bills fans. I spoke to them last night, and this is the opposite side of the spectrum. When they were down 3, and when the Bills got the ball back, and I was texting my boys like, "Hey man, how you feel?" He was like, "I don't fucking know. We might win, we might lose." It's like, yeah. I'm like, bro, what you mean, bro? Like, it's 5 minutes left. You got a chance to make something happen. Man, look, man, we've been here so many, bro. We've been here so many times, man. I have no faith. Yeah. He has Josh Allen, possibly the MVP of this season, having the best statistical year of his career, and he's like, man, I don't fucking know. And on that third, and this is how I know that he just lacked confidence. It was on that 3rd and 10 when they threw that quick screen to Amari Cooper to get that 5 yards. He turned the TV off. He didn't even watch 4th and 5. He didn't even watch it. like he was like, we're not gonna get it. And then like I'm calling him, hey bro, we got the ball, but it's 39. Like we got a chance. Like we might not get the first down. And he was like, nah, man, I got it. Like he was so defeated. He didn't even watch the rest of the game after the 3rd and 5 play. And like that's where like that's the difference of fan bases. When you got 15 and Big Red in your corner, down the stretch, you have the utmost confidence that y'all gonna come through. You shouldn't done way too many times. When you're a fan of a team that's lost 4 Super Bowls in the 80s and 90s and lost 3 times in a row to this generation's GOAT, you're a beaten dog, bro. And it's crazy.
Yeah, I think my last thing before we talk about the Eagles and Commanders is, this game on paper and on the field was pretty even, right? Very even throughout. To me, the one big difference though was on like 3rd or 4th down. I never really know what the Chiefs are going to do, but I feel like they're probably going to get a first down. Whereas with the Bills, I know what they're going to do, and maybe Josh Allen will get the first down. But like, to me, that's the difference. Like, even you talked about whenever the Chiefs got the ball back after Buffalo, after the 4th down play, and the Chiefs ran a play for Perrine, who, I mean, was that his first touch of the game or
first touch of the game? He has 6 snaps that whole game.
Like that play there, he was like, what was it, like a little screen, a little screen or swing pass? He was wide open. Like, yeah. I mean, like, and they just kind of do that stuff. Whereas the Bills, it would have been Josh Allen, to do whatever, put on his Superman cape and try to save the day. So to me, that was the difference in the game, was just how the Chiefs function in the big, the money downs, and they always have an answer. And a lot of that's because they have Patrick Mahomes, but they also have a lot of other guys that really make plays that might be their only play of the whole playoffs. Like Perrine may not do another thing, but like he was huge when they needed it.
And I think too that this team they're too Josh Allen dependent. Like, think about this. They signed oh my God, the defensive end that went to A&M.
Von Miller.
Yeah, Von Miller. They signed to a 6-year deal 3 years ago.
Yeah. He's
had 14 sacks in 3 years, 50 tackles in 3 years. Do you know what his stat line was in yesterday's game? He had 1 tackle.
Yeah.
This is a guy that you're paying big money to. Big money. You trade for Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper was non-existent in this postseason.
That was his only catch, right at the end of the game?
He had 3 catches.
3, okay.
30 yards. But, like, again, like, there weren't impactful catches. Like,
right.
The moves that they made to lead up to this point, those guys came up small. And it's kind of like what you see now with the Warriors. Like, it's like Steph save us, Josh Allen save us. There's no plan of attack. There's no complimentary football going on to complement Josh Allen's greatness. And it's like it's not sustainable. You can't rely on a guy to save you every fucking time. It's not sustainable.
Yep. I do want to say I gave Josh Allen credit on that 4th and 5 play. Somehow he like almost completed that pass under that crazy blitz. Like he gave his receiver a chance to catch the ball. So credit to him. Tristan, anything you want to mention that we didn't get to in this game?
I'm gonna quick shout out to again, one of my favorite players, man, Trent McDuffie. That one, the cornerback blitz at the end was, phenomenal. Just like the way that Spags got him to kind of disguise that blitz. But man, like just the overall defense, like we could talk about the quarterbacks all day, but like defense just really just stepped up at times when they absolutely needed to, man. And this game was the perfect encapsulation of, like I said, complimentary football, complete team win, special teams came through. Offense looked the best that has looked, I think all year. This is the best offensive game all year, considering who they're playing, the stakes. And the defense wasn't great all game, but like they were as good as you can be. Again, this is one of the top 3 offense in the league. Held them under 30. Only 17 at half. So 12 points in the second half. Like, man, that's championship shit. And the Bills did some championship level things in this game, like getting that touchdown right before half. That was big. That was some championship level stuff. Coming back when it looked like Kansas City was about to blow the doors open. That's championship level stuff.
Yeah,
it's just it's a next level. It's just doing that every quarter, and coming through at the absolute moments. That's the one thing that's keeping them from that journey. And yeah. Allen was born in the wrong era, but you're here now, bro. You gotta make it happen. So shout out to the Bills. Again, I thought they were the second best team all year. And I still say no quarterback scares me on the opposite side more than Josh Allen. So shout out to the Bills. Great opponent. I'm sure we'll continue to meet them in further playoffs.
Yeah, and also to James Cook on that touchdown, on that 4th down touchdown, where like extra effort, like in midair, like getting across the line. That was if the Bills win that game, that's like a highlight that we see probably for years.
Speaking of James Cook, on that drive, so when the Bills get the ball back down 3,
yeah.
Do you know who had that carry in the openest part of that drive?
Yeah, it was
fucking Johnson.
Right. He wasn't even James
Cook.
Yeah.
He was he's been your best player all day outside Josh Allen. Yeah. He's nowhere on the field. Ray Davis had a carry in that last drive. I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, why is he not on the field?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I can't answer that. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, yeah, great game. Another great AFC title game. The AFC title game has been really solid for about a decade or more. Like we've had a lot of great AFC championship games, and that was definitely one of them. Now over to the NFC championship game, which was not a great game. I thought it had a chance. There were moments where I thought the Commanders might come back or make it competitive, but they just could not stop turning the ball over. And Philadelphia took advantage of all those turnovers. The Eagles won 55-23. They just ran the ball all over them. Saquon had 3 touchdowns, including a 60-yard touchdown on the first play. The first time the Eagles touched the ball. And then Jalen Hurts added three touchdowns on the ground also. Tristan's, what's your takeaway from this game, both from the Eagles' perspective and the Commanders?
I'll start with the Eagles' perspective. My biggest takeaway from this game is I don't know if we were wrong or like really right about Saquon Barkley. Because on one end, Saquon was considered by a lot of people like a generational prospect at running back. Like again, he went number 2, right? He went before Josh Allen. Like you go back and look at that draft, and he was expected to be this dominant back that went above like the medium standard deviation of the value that running backs have to teams these days. He was supposed to like exceed that. And maybe it was the New York Giantification of his career, but like he wasn't drafted in the normal circumstances, and things only really got worse from there. Again, drafting Daniel Jones, the injuries, a lot of these things like kind of derailed his trajectory as what a lot of people we all thought could be a great running back in his league, and not really just in the league, but like of all time. But on the flip side, like he looks like that now. He looks like a dominant running back, not just a really good running back, not just a great running back, not just like a great free agent signing. Like, oh, he just look what you added to this team. He looks like the best player on the field against damn near anybody that we play. So it's refreshing. I feel like, again, this kind of goes back to the early conversation about, Mahomes and Josh Allen and like statistically what looks like a great game. Like, I feel like the tide is turning back to like 1990s football, like I think gone are the days where like you see these routine 450, 500-yard games from quarterbacks. Like, we're seeing more, I won't say like a complete one, but like more of an impetus on running backs, and when you have a really good running back and really featuring them in that offense and not just treating them as like side pieces. Like, we see it with Saquon, we see it with Derrick Henry, when the Ravens are at their best. See it with the Lions. When they're at their best, it's when Jahmyr Gibbs is being featured and getting carried, over and over. So I took that away as like, man, we're really slowly getting back to the 90s, because Saquon looks like, I thought he had a really, really great case for MVP that didn't get enough push because we just think of it as like most valuable quarterback award. But I still think he strongly has a case for MVP. The way that he's transformed that offense and really made their weakest link, which is the quarterback, less of a factor. Like, you can live with a mediocre Jalen Hurts game more this year than you could last year because of Saquon. Because Saquon can, penetrate through even the staunchiest defenses. Like, he can succeed, I think, against any type of defense. You put 8 in the box, 7 in the box. If he breaks through that second level, he's gone, right? And I was, I put in the group chat, like, I think he looks as tough to tackle as Derrick Henry, which physically, doesn't really make sense. But like, you watching is like, with that torque and that power and that speed, the ability to be shifty, the vision, like, he looks like a bitch to handle, and especially in the open field. So that was my biggest takeaway. On the Washington side, I'll be quick before I pass it along, man. But it looked like Jaden Daniels was trying his best to put that cape on. And every time he put that cape on, like, his teammates would step on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Jaden Daniels truly had a chance to like be really special and put that team in a better position to win, but they just couldn't stop shooting themselves in the foot. And that was the game.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, when the game was 14-12, I thought, oh, they still have a chance. Even when it was 27-15, they were trailing at like the half. I was like, they can come back. But man, every time they had a chance, they put the ball on the ground and the Eagles pounced on it and took over. Frank, what are your thoughts on the game, both from the Eagles' perspective and from the Commanders?
Look, man, all year long, I was hitting the table saying that Saquon's MVP. I just think the level of difficulty to play running back in this league, and more so in a league where we just don't respect the value of running backs, right? It's so hard to overlook what he's done, and I think we become so glamored by the gaudy passing numbers that we forget that what Saquon's doing in spite of like average quarterback play. Like, when the 2022 Giants, they went 9-7, and he was every bit of the reason why they went to the playoffs. Like, Daniel Jones threw for 3,000 yards and 15 touchdown passes. Like, that was his numbers that year. Saquon had 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns. Like, he was the engine of their offense. And the minute that they decided not to pay him, they paid Daniel Jones $160 or before, that team went into the toilet. So that right there should show you how special that kid is. Jalen Hurts has been pedestrian, and that's a compliment compared to what he's been for the most part of this season, production wise. And if they win the Super Bowl, we're going to have to look back and see it as one of the greatest running back seasons ever, as far as like impactful numbers. These are not just inflated numbers. He's not hitting 200 yards and up 40. Like, these are game-breaking runs. He's breaking the game wide open, and like they need these runs. Like the game against the Rams last week, when it's a one-possession game, or like 6 minutes left, and he hits for 78. Like that's a big play, impactful run that changes that dynamic of that game. And even though they win by possession, it was these are needed home run hitters with runs in scoring position. Type production he's putting up, and it's just it frustrates me that we don't pay homage to that and we don't respect it more. And that's not to be dismissive towards Lamar and Josh. They're having great seasons, incredible seasons. But this kid ran for 2,000 yards in an offense where Jalen Hurts might break. I don't know. But Jalen has 3,000 yards passing this year. He's been so pedestrian, and this team to me is more dangerous because of what they have in their backfield. For Washington's purposes, watching that team was a team that just wasn't ready for the showtime. Like they were moving the ball up and down the field, but they had 5 turnovers, and the Eagles scored on every single one of those turnovers.
Yeah.
That's 35 points off turnovers. It's 55 to 23?
Yep.
35 points off, at least 28 points off turnovers.
Yeah.
That tells me you're not ready for big time. And they had the same problem in the game last month. I think Brian Robinson had 2 fumbles in that game. Diamond Brown had a fumble in that game as well. They just kept putting the ball on the floor. And and the mainstay of this postseason, if you lose a turnover battle, you pretty much lose the game. Outside of the Chiefs, of course, they had 1 turnover yesterday, but the rest of the team that lost turnover battle in the playoffs, they lost the game. And you have to value ball security, and a lot of it was just unforced errors on Washington's part. Now moving forward, man, they can build on this. They have a franchise quarterback. They have $90 million in cap space going to next season. I think another strong couple drafts, and they spend that money wisely. You could be looking at a mainstay in the NFC for years to come.
Side note, Jalen Hurts, 2,900 yards this year.
Got it.
Saquon's my MVP, bro. 2,900 yards, bro. 2,900 yards. That's crazy.
He did miss a few games, though, right? I mean, granted, still.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're right. Add another 140 yards passing per game to that. Then that's what he was averaging the last month of the season.
Yeah.
So it's like 3,300 yards passing. That's Daniel Jones 2 years ago.
Yeah. No. I'm not a Jalen Hurts defender by any stretch of the imagination, but he did play pretty well. I mean, obviously the whole team played excellent. They dominated the game pretty much, but let's move on to the Super Bowl matchup. So we got Super Bowl 59 set February 9th in the Superdome in New Orleans. I should also note February 9th is Saquon Barkley's 28th birthday. So it could be a big day for Mr. Barkley. We'll see how that pans out. Kendrick Lamar is the halftime show. This game is like tailor-made for y'all. Like this is your game, right? This is the Chiefs going for history. Kendrick is the halftime show. Like this is
I've already taken off the day after the Super Bowl. And that Tuesday, it's my son's birthday. Well, like I'm taking off both days. Won't be there.
This is some pretty heady stuff. The Chiefs are installed as a 1.5 point favorite. Not the biggest favorite ever, but that line might change. But as y'all mentioned before, that these two teams met just a couple of years ago, Super Bowl 57. Chiefs won 38-35. So let's break down the matchup. What do we see in this Super Bowl? And Tristan, I'll go to you first. Who are you picking? I think I know, but how do you see it playing out? Do you think it'll be similar to what we saw 2 years ago?
Okay. So in my preliminary thinking about this matchup, I think both teams are better than they were 2 years ago. I think the Eagles, the defensive secondary is better, even though younger in certain areas. I think it's overall better. I think their linebacking core is younger but faster. Just overall on defense, like they fly around a lot more than they did in Super Bowl 57. And offensive line is still great. Looks again younger, but better. Like these teams are really outside of the quarterback position and wide receiver position. Like they kind of operate on the same philosophies. Like they both have kind of like shed some veterans here and there, some retired, and they've gotten younger at certain spots, but they've hit on those draft picks so well that those guys, a lot of those guys have become stars, even like some of their late round picks. I think Jalen Hurts has regressed as a passer since 2022. I think he's more comfortable in what he does well. But what he does, it has a little bit more of a ceiling than we would have projected in 2022. Like we talked about it. He has like 3 or 4 passes that he's gonna make. You know, back shoulder, go route, screen pass, crossing route. Like there's only but so much that you dig out on the sideline.
The RPO slant is touch and go. Sometimes it's on the line, sometimes behind.
Like he got about 3, 4, 5 pitches, but he's more comfortable. And again, Saquon is an equalizer to whatever explosiveness is lacking in their game over the last couple of years. So I think the Eagles are better. They're a better team. I also think the Chiefs are a better team. I think the Chiefs defense is way more experienced than it was 2 years ago. The comfort level on like what they want to do, how they want to take away teams' best options, like they have a more feel for that. Like in 2022, the defense it got better as the year went on, but like they struggled to get a lot of stops throughout their regular season and really into like the first couple games in the playoffs, and then they just kind of hit their stride. Those guys are in year 3. Like those young guys are in year 3 or year 4 for some of those guys. And then you got the vets. Offensively, I think this team, outside of like having like that game breaker out of the backfield in the passing game, like having a Jerick McKinnon, I think they're better at the wide receiver position. You still have Juju there, but DeAndre Hopkins is a much better option in the 10 to 15 yard range passing. They didn't have an Xavier Worthy, a guy who will destroy man-to-man defenses, either through crossing routes, coming out of the backfield. He's getting better on dig routes, comeback routes. Like both these teams are better. So ultimately this is going to come down to, as it normally does, who has the better quarterback, who can stop the run, who has the better coaching, right? And that's where I lean the Chiefs. I do think this will be a less close game than the Bills game, but I think it'll be close by like Super Bowl standards. So I can see this as like a 7-point game. There's a part of me that thinks that if the Chiefs can stop the run and make Jalen Hurts beat them consistently, there is potential that this could be a double-digit, 2 touchdown type of game for the Chiefs. But like a lot of things have to go right defensively. And they just got to, make sure they continue to protect Mahomes. If they can run the ball even just a little bit, then I think they can put some points up on the board.
Frank, what about you? How do you see this game going? Super Bowl 59.
I think the key for the Chiefs defensively, they got to win first down. Like it can't be 2nd and 2.
No.
2nd and 3.
Yeah.
Like you got to win first down. If you keep them in long distance situations like 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 12, 3rd and 7 and longer, to where you're taking away the obvious RPO, then I think the Chiefs I think it's not close. I think Spags showed me in that Buffalo game, he gave Trent Duffy a lot of confidence on the back end with Mac Hollins. And I mean, Trent got burned a few times. You may see a little bit more matchup man with Devontae and AJ Brown, and then trying to focus more on the run. Spying. Leo Chenal had a great game last year in the Super Bowl, and the year before that too. So you may get a little more Lil Chanel spying or Bolton spying. But I think the key is you got to win first down. Offensively, I think Kansas City will do whatever they want offensively. I went back and watched the Baltimore game a month ago when they played Baltimore. Baltimore did whatever they wanted to do. They got too pass happy. They were running the ball whenever they wanted. They just got too pass happy in that game and had a couple of turnovers in that game, fumbles and stuff in that game. And then Washington, both matchups, Washington moved the ball with relative ease. They were eating up the clock. A lot of RPO, a lot of misdirection, making Jordan Davis and Jaden Carter in the middle of that D-line go sideline, which wore them out. You may see that a lot of that too in the Super Bowl with Mahomes with the RPO game. The best way to wear a big D lineman is to have them run sideline, and they can do that. And I know Tristan brought up Worthy. Man, Hollywood too, man. Those two guys can stretch the field. And 2 years ago, that matchup, that second half, the intermediate game killed the Eagles. The dig routes, the drag routes, the comeback routes. Juju had a great second half in that Super Bowl 2 years ago. Those guys were eating in the middle, and the secondary is very good, but they're very young, like he said. So I think we have the matchup there with our weapons. We can attack them in so many different ways, passing wise, to where Kelsey doesn't have a big game. It could be Hop, it could be Worthy, it could be Hollywood. Like, we can attack them in some different ways. I think that's going to present a lot of problems. And then when the Chiefs do decide to go 8 in the box, you gotta get off the blocks, because Saquon's one of those guys. If that O-line gets hat on hat, he can go for 70. I mean, we've seen it all year long. So we got to be able to get off those blocks and disrupt the rush lanes and not let Saquon get going. But my final score, I have 31-23 Chiefs in that game.
I'm going to say they're definitely going to go over 30. I'm saying 35-24. One last thing, because you kind of mentioned with Saquon, it's not like the Chiefs don't have experience playing in the Super Bowl against an all-world running back, who's a game breaker, right? We talk about the going back and looking at the value of great running backs. Like Christian McCaffrey, when healthy, is absolutely in that same tier. As a matter of fact, that was the guy that was the comparison to Saquon when he came in Philly. It's can he have the same impact that C-Mac had when he got to San Fran? So I'm sure they'll take a look at a lot of how were they able to stifle McCaffrey? He got the touchdown, but how were they able to stifle him, especially in the second half last year's Super Bowl? So it's so many data points that Spags and Andy Reid and those guys can pull from that can really be a model on how to shut down this offense, which a lot of times this Philly offense shuts down itself. Just again, having that ceiling on the passing game, when teams sell out to stop Saquon, can they do that consistently? I think that's essentially would be the question of the game.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I do think the Chiefs are going to win this game. I think they're so close to history. I think it would be unfortunate if they didn't. However, I would warn that there was a time where there was another team going for history against an NFC East team, and it didn't work out too well for the Patriots in Super Bowl 42, and they were going for the perfect season. Even Super Bowl 46 when the Giants beat the Patriots again. Now, granted, the Patriots weren't undefeated that year, but that was another upset that I don't think a lot of us saw coming.
What do you think Andy Reid would do with Tom Brady and Randy Moss and Dante Stallworth and Wes Walker versus Josh McDaniels? You know what? To this day, I'm glad you brought that. I don't want to go on a meeting. It wasn't like I was a Patriots fan, but I was really rooting for them to get that I wanted to see an undefeated season in my lifetime.
I did too.
07 Brady is in my top 5. It might be my top 5 favorite athletes to watch in a particular season. Man, it took them until literally the last couple drives of the fourth quarter to realize, they're getting a lot of heat on Brady. What if we spray these guys out? the same thing that's been like killing teams literally all year. What if we just put 4 receivers on and like spread them out? And they got whatever they wanted. And I'm like, I was screaming at it in the first quarter. I'm like, bro, you can't run the ball.
Yeah.
If you go 2 wide receivers and a tight end, like they just blitz the other side, like, and they making Brady get rid of the ball real quick. Okay, if it's quick game, then spread them out. That's what I was doing in Madden, fam. Like 4 receivers. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, I don't think Andy Reid would have that same problem, especially not 2025 Andy Reid. No.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So, like I said, I think the Chiefs are going to win, but you never know with the NFC East. They've pulled off some surprises in the past, so we'll see how it plays out. Any final thoughts about Super Bowl 59 before we get there?
This might be a small caveat, but a big caveat come game day in 2 weeks. I think the Chiefs need to move Tooney back inside for this game. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter are game wreckers. Jordan Davis is on a tear, bro. I don't know if you've been watching, but he's been on a tear the last 3 weeks playing football. Like he caused 2 fumbles in that Rams game. He had a sack yesterday. Like he's coming into his own. Like I know Fletcher Cox retired. That's going to be the next great DT in football. Like he's really, really good. And we have a Hall of Fame left guard who's playing tackle right now in Joe Tooney. It might be time to move Tooney back inside. The one matchup that shudders and scares me is our backup left guard against Jordan Davis. I don't like it. I mean, there was a play in the game yesterday where the man got lifted off his feet on that Mahomes sack. And Reed's a good D tackle. He's nowhere on the same playing field as Jordan Davis. So if I'm Kansas City, I would seriously entertain moving Tooney back inside and starting DJ Humphries on the outside, because this incarnation of the Eagles, their DNs, they don't have a Hassan Reddick out there. They don't have any great pass rusher DNs. Their strength is the D tackles, and we have the best. Interior 3 in football. With Tooney, Trey, and Creed. I think they need to get back to that if you really want to protect Mahomes and some symbols of having a running game in this game coming up.
Tristan, any final thoughts on the Super Bowl matchup?
Mahomes and his legs. Frank talked about the RPOs, but man, aggressive defense like that, they're gonna play a lot of man. That's really a huge part of their game plan. Like, the corners are so physical. If the Chiefs run game, especially inside, which did not work at all yesterday, if they can't get anything going there with Kareem Hunt, a lot of it is going to be on Mahomes to make plays with his legs, scrambling, some design runs here and there, which he tends to do these things in playoffs anyway. But it may be a necessity, especially with them big boys up front on the Eagles D line. So Mahomes' legs will be a big key.
I think it's going to be a good matchup. I think even though we just saw it a couple of years ago, I think it'll be a good one. So looking forward to Super Bowl 59. Final thing before we get out of here, let's talk about real quickly the 4 NFL teams found new coaches this week. Now only the Saints remain as the team without a coach. So let me run it down here. The Jets hired Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator. The Cowboys promoted offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer. He's their new head coach. The Raiders have hired Pete Carroll to run the team in Vegas. He'll be 74 years old when week 1 kicks off. He'll be the oldest NFL head coach ever if he makes it. I mean, hopefully he makes it 74, obviously. Pete Carroll, he's got a youthful kind of youthful persona anyway, so it doesn't seem like he's the oldest coach in the NFL, but he is. And then the Jaguars hired Buccaneers offensive coordinator Liam Cohen. Frank, I'll go to you. Any thoughts on these moves? Anything that stands out?
Aaron Glenn, you honorable fool. I don't know why he took that job. There's nothing. I wouldn't even tell that interview in the first place. There's nothing you can tell me. Like, what did the Jets tell him? What is the plan at quarterback? What is the plan? I'm not gonna leave Detroit and go to a situation where I got to coach Aaron Rodgers next year. I'm not doing that. I'm just me. If I value job security, I'm not taking that job. Do the Jets know what they want to do? Dude, Woody Johnson knows what he wants to do. Woody Johnson is one of the worst owners of football right now. Like Dan Snyder had that title for a long time. It's not Woody. Like I don't know why he feels so comfortable working for a guy like that in a regime like that has done next to nothing the last 15 years. I'm good on that. Schottenheimer has been the bridesmaid for the better part of 14 seasons. I didn't even know who. I thought Mike McCarthy was OC. I didn't even know Schottenheimer was even there in Dallas. That shows you how much I pay attention to Dallas. I didn't even know. I thought he was in college somewhere. When they told me he was the OC in Dallas, I'm like, word? What did he do? Because Mark McCarthy was a play caller. Every time I watched Cowboys game, he was a guy holding the play sheet. I don't know what he. I mean, this could be a David Cawley type of move. You remember a couple years ago when the Texans hired David Cawley for that year?
Oh yeah.
And they went 2-12, 2-15, whatever. And they fired him after that 1 year. This could be a payday year for Schottenheimer. He might get moved and it might bring somebody else in. I don't understand. The Pete Carroll move. I guess. I don't. What else? I don't know what. Sure.
It's the Raiders. Like it's probably better than what they had. So yeah.
Sure. Fine. The Jazz getting Liam. I got bone to pick with the NFL, man. I got bone to pick. Von Leftwich won a Super Bowl. He was a Super Bowl OC winning coach with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa, yeah.
Got fired last year. Was it last year he got fired?
It was 2 years ago.
2 years ago he got fired. I haven't heard his name. The man won a Super Bowl. He called the plays with Tom Brady. They put a 40 on the Chiefs 3 years ago. Man got a job. This Liam cat gets a job literally a year after going with 9-7, 9-8. I don't get it. I mean, maybe Liam's that good. Who knows? But I don't see the difference between Liam and Von Leftwich 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But whatever.
Tristan, your thoughts on the coaching moves?
With Aaron Glenn, apparently that was his top priority job. Like that, he actually wanted to go there. So I know there's some sentiment like that. You know, he was a first round pick there in '94,
right.
Out of A&M, H-Town. So you honorable fool. If I'm Aaron Glenn, I saw this on somewhere else, so I don't want to act like I made it up. But I'd give Aaron Rodgers until the Super Bowl to decide whether he wants to come back, and then you kind of go from there. I don't think there's a inherent issue. Maybe I don't care about the Jets, so this probably informs my conclusion on this. But I don't think there's an issue between now and April saying, okay, Aaron Rodgers coming back, and we'll see. But I'm not promising him starting position. I'm also telling him now, hey, if you come back, I just want you to know, there's a chance that we're absolutely most likely, going to draft a quarterback or look for, a backup in the free agent market or something to compete. You can't go into a season depending on Aaron Rodgers to be your guy. He's past that point in his career and life. So shout out to Aaron Glenn. A lot to get, the Woody Johnson of it all would scare me off, like Frank said, but this is what he wants. So I do think, I don't know if this will reflect in all of the results, but I do think Aaron Glenn will make a positive impact on the Jets. What that leads to, I can't tell you because so many toxic factors around that.
Yeah.
But I do think that he will make a positive impact in some type of way. I have that belief in him. Pete Carroll, this sounds like a very cool way to pre-retirement type job. This is the Lovie Smith of it all. Before you hang him up for good. With that said, man, who has a better coaching lineup in the division in the AFC West?
Yeah. Got some names there.
There's some
Harbaugh,
names.
Carroll, Reed, Sean
How
Payton.
good all these guys are,
Yeah.
who knows? But like,
I mean, 3 of them at the playoffs.
yeah, like it's some names, and Pete Carroll wasn't too far from making the playoffs a couple years ago. So cool. Like, you guys need a quarterback. Essentially, all these jobs come down to what's the ownership situation, cap situation. Do you have a quarterback?
Yeah.
I forgot who else. Liam Cohen. I don't care. Like, I don't care. I thought he did a really good job with Baker.
Yeah.
I thought that Baker looked like a fringe MVP candidate for a good portion of the year. Again, how much we attribute into that to Liam Cohen is however much you want to attribute. We'll see. Can you do the same thing with Trevor Lawrence? Like, his job is going to depend on, really, in the next couple of years, like, what can you get out of Trevor Lawrence in these next 2 years? Otherwise, you won't make it to year 3.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
Who else?
No, that's all. That's all. Well, I did want to mention that I think some of the biggest coaching news of the week were actually in the assistant ranks, where we had the 49ers hired Robert Saleh back as their defensive coordinator, former Jets coach. He's returning to San Francisco. Obviously, he was, one of the guys that kind of got that defense going years ago. And then the Texans here in Houston, they fired Bobby Slowick, which was, a lot of people thought that might happen, but they fired Slowick and the offensive line coach. So the Texans are obviously – go ahead.
Nothing about that was surprising. Slowick, I mean,
yeah.
If you look at the teams, like if you look on a macro level, it looks like the same team. Like, they got to the divisional round.
Yeah.
The records are similar. The issue is like how that offense looked. The offense looked like it was legitimately killing CJ Stroud. And I applaud D'Amico, if it came from D'Amico or higher, but I applaud them for like making a decision that we're not going to waste a year of CJ Stroud's development, trying to get back to where he was as a rookie. Like, we'll make sure we have somebody in there who can like maximize and then that offense, because that offense looked putrid. Like, blocking schemes was off. Like, a lot of things went wrong that you could tell was coaching. So he had to go, especially with a quarterback that young. And really, if you have a star quarterback, you don't have any years to waste. Like, you should always make sure that everything is tip-top condition around them. Like, it's not just the flower, it's the garden. You know what I'm saying? Type shit. So I applaud them for making that decision. A lot of teams would have let him come back another year and see if things got better, and then made a decision. And be proactive when you have a star quarterback.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for me, it wasn't the surprise that Slowick was fired, because, last week we were talking about this. We're talking about how, like, the Texans need a new scheme. They need to maximize and protect CJ Stroud. To me, it's just surprising the Texans actually did it, because in the past, they definitely weren't a team that would make a quote unquote ruthless move like that. Like a guy who last year was, even this year, Slowick was he was interviewing for head coaching jobs. For them to part ways with him, I think that is a good step in the right direction for the Texans, because obviously we watched this team all year long, and they were a tough watch on the offensive end of the ball. or the offensive side of the ball. So I was surprised by that part of it, but not surprised that he got fired. Frank, any thoughts on the Texans moves or Saleh returning to San Francisco?
The O-line coaching fire, we got to stop firing coaches, man, when you don't have talent at that position. Like scapegoating coaches, bro, when you don't have feasible talent to like develop and coach is unfair. I feel like sometimes in the NFL and just in sports in general, I think we just fire people just to fire people, and it's just there's no room, there's no rhyme or reason. Like, they need talent on the front line. Like, Larry Tunsil had a down year this year, and he was their best player. The other 4 guys, they gave up 8 sacks against Kansas City. 8. Yeah. I think Striker hit 50 times this year. He got sacked 50-some times this year.
Yeah, he was second most sacked quarterback in the league.
That's not coaching. That's lack of talent. Like, you got to drive more players. You need more help. We need more people. Like come on, bro. Like, you can't. the OC firing, I understand. They didn't get any better. It looked like they came back with the same playbook with no wrinkles. They didn't adjust after the injuries.
Yep.
They didn't go get somebody after the injuries when Diggs went down and when they didn't do anything to trade deadline to really move the needle to help CJ. So and then come December, they kind of just flatlined. They didn't look competitive against the AFC elites. I mean, even with KC, they played well in that game, but prior to that game, they didn't look well against Baltimore. They didn't look well against a lot of the better teams in the AFC going into the playoffs. So letting go slow was needed. I think Saleh going back to San Fran is a dynamite move. But I think San Fran is long in the tooth. They need an infusion of young talent because they got to make decisions now on Purdy and a couple of the big time pieces on that team. So what they decide to do, I think, hinges on the draft more than anything, as far as bringing in fresh talent to help prolong that run that they had in the NFC or get back to what they were in prior years.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how these coaching moves pay off next season. So anything else before we get out of here, Tristan? Any final thoughts you want to mention or anything? No, Frank, anything else? Anything else from you, Frank?
Nah, I'm good.
That'll about do it. So the next time you'll hear from us will be the day after the Super Bowl, day after Super Bowl 59. Could be a historic podcast, depending on what happens in that game. So want to thank everybody who joined us in the live chat. Thanks to M Moves and thanks to King B Johnson. Really appreciate that. And hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, do all the YouTube things. Like, subscribe, comment below. We appreciate that kind of stuff. Also, if audio's not your or video's not your thing, audio needs to be your thing. But if video's not your thing, you can check us out on audio platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And be sure, if you see us on those platforms, give us a 5-star rating. Be sure to subscribe. We appreciate that. And also check us out on social media. We're at Watchers Basement. Find us on all the platforms. Be sure to use the hashtag Watchers Basement. So that does it for this week's episode. So for Tristan, so for Frank, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.